You're walking down the frozen food aisle, and suddenly you spot that familiar cone-shaped package.
You know the one.
That iconic treat that's been cooling down summer days for almost a century. But have you ever wondered what actually goes into making those perfect drumstick ice cream cones? What you're about to discover will completely change how you see this beloved treat forever. Here's something that might shock you. Those drumsticks you love aren't technically ice cream at all. They're classified as frozen dairy dessert, and there's a fascinating reason why that matters. But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Let's start from the beginning.
The year was 1928, and two candy-making brothers named I.C. and J.T. Parker had a problem. They wanted to recreate those delicious vanilla-topped sugar cones from county fairs, but their early versions kept melting too quickly. So they got creative. They developed a hard chocolate shell, rolled the whole thing in crushed peanuts, and created what would become one of America's most iconic frozen treats. Today, that simple solution has evolved into a massive operation.
The Nestlé Factory in Bakersfield, California alone produce over 5 cents,000 drumstick every single day.
That's more than 182 million cones per year from just one facility. And they're not just making the classic vanilla anymore.
We are talking blue raspberry, chocolate cookie, banana split, and over 10 different flavors total.
But here's where things get really interesting. Remember how I mentioned these aren't technically ice cream? When Nestlé acquired the Drumstick brand in 1991, they made some strategic changes to the original 1928 formula. Real ice cream must contain at least 10% milk fat according to FDA regulations. Modern drumsticks don't quite meet that mark, and that's completely intentional.
The secret lies in the ingredient swap.
Instead of traditional dairy fats, they use a carefully crafted blend of dairy solids with coconut, palm, and soybean oils. None of these ingredients were in the original Parker Brothers recipe. This isn't about cutting corners, though. This substitution serves multiple purposes. It circumvents the higher costs of using full dairy products, recreates that signature creaminess we all love, and most importantly, it dramatically improves the product's resistance to melting. Think about it. When you're eating a drumstick on a hot summer day, you want it to hold its shape long enough to enjoy every bite. That's the genius of this formulation. So how does this magical process actually work? Let's take a journey inside that Bakersfield factory to see the incredible machinery and precision that goes into every single cone. Everything starts in the blending room, where enormous stainless steel tanks called liquiverters create the base mixture. Picture tanks so large they could hold a small car, swirling with that specialized vegetable oil blend. Workers add dry stabilizers and emulsifiers for massive sacks, ingredients that bind everything together and prevent those annoying ice crystals from forming when the mixture freezes. Next come the dairy solids, non-fat milk powder and whey powder. These provide that creamy texture while keeping the milk fat content below that crucial 10% threshold. Then corn syrup flows in for sweetness, followed by vanilla flavoring that gives drumsticks their distinctive taste. But we're just getting started. The mixture then travels through a complex network of pipes to the pasteurization area. Here's where food safety becomes paramount. The pasteurizer heats everything to exactly 172 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes, completely eliminating any harmful bacteria. The homogenizer comes next, and this machine is absolutely incredible. It pushes the entire mixture through tiny holes under 4,000 psi of pressure. To put that in perspective, That's more pressure than what's at the bottom of a 9,000-foot-deep ocean trench. This intense pressure breaks down fat molecules into microscopic particles, creating that smooth, creamy consistency. Then comes the freezing stage, where the real magic happens. The mixture gets chilled to 22 degrees Fahrenheit in just 3 minutes, while air gets whipped in simultaneously. This creates millions of tiny air pockets between the cream, water, and sugar molecules, giving the frozen dessert that perfect soft-serve consistency. While that mixture is chilling, another incredible process is happening on the other side of the factory: waffle cone production. Did you know the first ice cream cones were actually just rolled waffles? Today's drumstick cones are sophisticated updates of that original concept. The cone batter starts with flour, brown sugar, caramel coloring, and some secret ingredients that Nestle guards closely. Ice-cold water prevents sticking, and vegetable oil gets blended in to create a consistency that's remarkably similar to pancake batter. This batter flows into aligned waffle irons on a rolling conveyor chain. Gas flames heat the bottoms to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and after exactly 1 minute, the tops open. Here's where engineering meets artistry. A rotating mechanical arm slides each hot waffle around a metal cone shaper while a spinning piston twists it into that perfect cone shape. The machine simultaneously trims the tops to create that flat, even surface you see on every drumstick. At full speed, this incredible system cranks out over 10,000 waffle cones per hour. That's nearly 3 cones every second. Once shaped and trimmed, the cones move along a conveyor system where they're loaded into a stacking machine. As they travel down the line, a row of nozzles sprays the inside of each cone with oil-based liquid chocolate. But here's the brilliant part. A second set of nozzles follows up with a quick shot that fills the base, forming that signature chocolate nugget at the bottom of every drumstick. This isn't just for flavor. Once that chocolate sets, it acts as a waterproof barrier, sealing the filling so the cone stays firm and doesn't get soggy in your hand. It's functional engineering disguised as a delicious treat. Now comes the assembly line's crown jewel, the specially designed dispenser that fills over 200 cones per minute simultaneously. The frozen dairy dessert flows from the chilling machines into this precision instrument. A plastic paddle gently taps each top, creating that perfect ball shape and leaving behind that neat little swirl we all recognize. For varieties with filled centers like caramel, fudge, or peanut butter, there's actually a second nozzle inside the dispenser. While the outer nozzle fills the cone with the main frozen dessert, this inner nozzle injects one of those 3 core flavors. It's like watching a perfectly choreographed dance of mechanical precision. The moment the cones are filled, they proceed directly into a powerful blast freezer. In just 5 minutes, the temperature drops from 30 degrees Fahrenheit to a frigid -10 degrees. The faster you freeze ice cream, the better it tastes when you bite into it, because rapid freezing prevents large ice crystals from forming. With the cones now frozen solid, robotic pickers carefully grab each one and feed them into a machine that flips them upside down, preparing them for the final dipping process. As the conveyor moves forward, an entire row of inverted cones gets dipped into warm, oil-based chocolate. Since the cones are still cold enough, the warm chocolate hardens instantly on contact, sealing the tops without melting the frozen filling inside. Right after the chocolate dip, an air nozzle blasts a burst of crushed peanuts upward while the cones are lowered into it, giving each one that signature nutty coating. For the chocolate cookie varieties, they get coated with cookie crumbs instead, creating that indulgent chocolate-on-chocolate finish. Before any drumstick leaves the factory, it undergoes rigorous quality control. Inspectors slice random samples in half to examine the core fillings, checking the distribution of caramel, fudge, and peanut butter. Then comes what might be the best job in the factory, the taste test. Quality control specialists sample the frozen dairy filling, the peanut and chocolate coating, and of course, that crucial chocolate nugget at the bottom. After passing these final checks, each drumstick gets individually wrapped and carefully boxed. They're moved to the warehouse for palletizing, then shipped across the country to freezers, ice cream trucks, and stadium stands everywhere. It's remarkable to think that two brothers trying to solve a simple melting problem in 1928 created a manufacturing process that now produces hundreds of millions of these treats every year. From those enormous liquiverter tanks to the precision robotic pickers, every step represents decades of engineering innovation focused on delivering that perfect combination of crispy cone, creamy filling, chocolate coating, and nutty crunch. The next time you unwrap a drumstick, you'll know exactly what went into creating that moment of summer bliss. From the carefully formulated frozen dairy dessert to the precisely timed blast freezing, every element works together to deliver nearly a century of sweet success, one cone at a time.